Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel where we dive into the most epic stories from history. Today, we read journeying back to the heart of the Mughal Empire to uncover the incredible life of its second emperor, Humayun. His story isn't just a dry chapter in a textbook. It's a roller coaster of power, exile, betrayal, and a comeback so epic it deserves its own movie. So grab your popcorn and let's unravel the tale of Humayun, the emperor who lost everything and then fought his way back. Humayun inherited the throne in 1530 from his legendary father, Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire. Now you'd think inheriting an empire would be a pretty sweet deal, right? Well, not exactly. Babur had conquered a vast territory, but it was far from stable. It was more like a patchwork of kingdoms held together by military might, and everyone was just waiting for a chance to break free. To make matters worse, Babur's dying wish was for Humayun to be kind to his brothers. Noble, but a huge political mistake. These brothers, Kamran, Askari, and Hindal, were ambitious and saw Humayun's kindness as weakness. They were like sharks circling, each wanting a piece of the imperial pie. Right from the get-go, Humayun was fighting fires on all fronts. In the east, the Afghan chieftain Sher Shah Suri was building up his power base in Bihar and Bengal. He was a brilliant strategist and a formidable opponent who knew the lay of the land like the back of his hand. In the west, Bahadur Shah of Gujarat was also eyeing the throne of Delhi. So, Humayun was stuck in the middle, trying to juggle these two major threats while also keeping an eye on his own scheming brothers. It was a recipe for disaster. His first major challenge was dealing with Bahadur Shah. Humayun marched his army to Gujarat and, in a series of campaigns, managed to defeat him. He captured key fortresses like Mandu and Champaner. It was a significant victory, and for a moment, it looked like Humayun had asserted his authority. But here's where Humayun's first major flaw comes into play. He was a bit of a procrastinator. After his victory, instead of consolidating his power and setting up a solid administration, he and his army indulged in celebrations and feasting. While Humayun was partying, Sher Shah Suri was busy strengthening his position in the east, capturing territory and building his army. By the time Humayun finally turned his attention eastward, Sher Shah was more than ready for him. The two armies met at the Battle of Chausa in 1539. This battle was a catastrophe for Humayun. Sher Shah, using clever tactics and taking advantage of the monsoon season, launched a surprise attack on the Mughal camp. The Mughal army was caught completely off guard and routed. Humayun himself barely escaped with his life. Legend has it he had to be saved from drowning in the Ganges by a water carrier named Nizam, whom he later promised to make king for a day. It was a humiliating defeat that shattered the myth of Mughal invincibility. But the final nail in the coffin came a year later, in 1540, at the Battle of Kanauji. Humayun, having regrouped his forces, faced Sher Shah once again. This time his army was larger, but morale was low and defections were rampant. The battle was a decisive victory for Sher Shah. The Mughal army collapsed, and Humayun was forced to flee. This wasn't just a lost battle. It was the loss of his entire empire. Sher Shah Suri crowned himself the new emperor in Delhi, establishing the Sur Empire, and Humayun became a fugitive, an emperor without a kingdom. What followed was a harrowing period of exile that lasted for 15 long years. Humayun wandered through the deserts of Sindh and Rajasthan, seeking refuge and allies but finding mostly betrayal and hardship. His own brothers, far from helping him, actively worked against him. Kamran, who controlled Kabul and Kandahar, refused him sanctuary and even tried to capture him. Humayun was truly alone, abandoned by his family and stripped of all his power and wealth. It was during this desperate time that a glimmer of hope appeared. While wandering in the desert, he met and fell in love with a young woman named Hamida Banu Begum. They married in 1541, and a year later, in the fortress of Umarkot in Sindh, she gave birth to a son. They named him Akbar. This little baby, born in the middle of nowhere to a fugitive king, would one day become the greatest of all Mughal emperors, Akbar the Great. The birth of his son gave Humayun a new reason to fight, a legacy to reclaim. His journey eventually led him to Persia, to the court of Shah Tahmasp, the first of the powerful Safavid Empire. The Shah offered him refuge, but it came at a price. Humayun had to convert to Shia Islam, the state religion of Persia, a move that was politically necessary but must have been difficult for the Sunni emperor. In return, the Shah provided him with troops and resources to help him reclaim his throne. This was the turning point. With Persian support, Humayun was no longer a lone wanderer. He was a king with an army again. His first target was his own brother, Kamran. He marched on Kandahar and Kabul, the territories his brother had denied him. The fight between the brothers was long and bitter. Kabul changed hands several times, but eventually Humayun emerged victorious. He captured Kamran, and in a moment that shows the harsh realities of power, he had him blinded to ensure he could never challenge him again. It was a brutal act, especially given his father's dying wish, but it secured his base of operations and eliminated his biggest internal threat. Meanwhile, back in India, the Sur Empire that Sher Shah had built was crumbling. After Sher Shah's accidental death in 1545, his successors proved to be weak and incompetent. They fought amongst themselves, and the empire quickly disintegrated into several warring factions. This was the opportunity Humayun had been waiting for 15 years. The political landscape was fractured, and the path to Delhi was open. In 1555, with his base in Kabul secure and his army ready, Humayun launched his invasion of India. He faced the forces of Sikandar Shah Suri at the Battle of Sirhind. This time there were no mistakes. The Mughal army, led by the brilliant general Bairam Khan, won a decisive victory. The Sur dynasty was shattered, and the road to Delhi was clear. 15 years after he had fled as a fugitive, Humayun re-entered his capital as the Emperor of Hindustan. His long, agonizing exile was finally over. He had done it. He had reclaimed his father's empire. But fate, it seems, had one last cruel twist in store for Humayun. He didn't get to enjoy his hard-won victory for long. Just a few months after retaking his throne, in January 1556, a tragic accident occurred. Humayun, an avid astronomer, was in his library in Delhi, the Shir Mandal, which he had converted into an observatory. He heard the call to prayer and, while descending the steep stone steps, he tripped on his robes and fell. He sustained severe head injuries and died 3 days later. And so, the incredible, chaotic, and dramatic life of Nasir-ad-Din Muhammad Humayun came to an end. He ruled for a total of about 10 years, but his reign was split in two by 15 years of exile. He was a man of contrasts, brave but indecisive, cultured but not a great administrator, kind to a fault but capable of great cruelty. His name, Humayun, ironically means the fortunate, but his life was filled with more misfortune than most. However, his greatest legacy was not the empire he reclaimed, but the son he left behind. His 13-year-old son Akbar inherited the throne. Guided by the loyal Bairam Khan, Akbar would go on to not only secure the Mughal Empire, but expand it into one of the most powerful and prosperous empires the world has ever seen. Humayun's struggles and his ultimate comeback paved the way for the golden age of the Mughals under Akbar. His life is a powerful lesson in perseverance, a true tale of triumph snatched from the jaws of tragedy. He may have stumbled in life and stumbled to his death, but in the end, he ensured the survival of his dynasty. What do you think? Was Humayun unlucky, or was he the architect of his own misfortune? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next historical adventure. See you next time.